Hey, good evening. I'd like to call the Township of Wainfleet regular council meeting of June 11th, 2024 to order. Please stand for the national anthem. We would like to begin this meeting by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and the Haudenosaunee peoples, acknowledging the One Bowl and Spoon Treaty. I'll ask, are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, please note that these meeting proceedings are being broadcast live, recorded, and made available through the Township website and youtube.com. The Farmers Market is back at the pavilion behind the arena, starting today and running each Tuesday from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. through September 10th. If you haven't seen the recent cenotaph planting, please take a moment to check it out. We are very grateful to the Wainfleet Historical Society and Gardener Mike for bringing this project to life. June is Seniors Month in Ontario, and we are proud to have Barb Mindleaf running the Wainfleet Seniors Drop-In Center located in the Friendship Room at the arena. You will also see the age-friendly Niagara flag in our lobby for the remainder of this month. The Wainfleet Volunteer Firefighters Association is hosting their annual Community Safety Day, Saturday, July 6th. From 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Community Hall. Our next regular meeting of council is Tuesday, July 9th at 6:30. As far as the region, Corporate Services meets tomorrow, and Thursday will be the regional council meeting. Are there any announcements or remarks from members of council? Councillor Van Fleet, go ahead.
Thank you, through Mr. Mayor. Just a quick remarks I have written down here. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and fellow members of council. I would like to take a moment to speak about Pride Month, a time when we honor the diversity, strength, and resilience of our LGBTQ+ community. I was pleased to take part in this year's flag raising on June 3rd here at the Town Hall. As the councillors know, this flag symbolizes our commitment to inclusivity, acceptance, and respect for all individuals, regardless of their identity. Let us continue to foster a community where everyone feels safe, feels valued, and can express themselves and their identity in an authentic way. Not this month, but every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Van Fleet. Any other remarks? Councillor Anderson?
Thank you, through you, Mayor. I just hope that the rest of my colleagues had a good look at correspondence 274, which came from the Township calendar up north. And basically the context there is around hoping that the province will get the report out and that MPAC will come back in a more timely manner with assessments, all of that being very relevant to our budget process. So it's an interesting article and it has some good points in it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Anderson. Okay, we're going to move into the adoption of the previous council minutes. Are there any comments, corrections for the draft minutes listed on the agenda this evening? Seeing none, so I have a motion that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held May 21st, 2024 be adopted as circulated. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Councillor Anderson, Councillor Van Fleet. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. We have no public meetings this evening. We also have no delegations this evening. We have no items on the consent agenda this evening, so we're going to move right into staff reports and recommendations, the Community and Development Services staff reports, memorandum respecting Summer Municipal Bylaw Enforcement Officer. Ms. Earl, could you please provide a brief overview of this memo?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of council. The township regularly recruits a seasonal employee to assist with proactive parking enforcement throughout the summer months. As part of normal township practice, staff have prepared bylaw number 025-2024 to provide for the appointment of the township's annual summer municipal bylaw enforcement officer under the Police Services Act. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Earl. So I have a motion that the memorandum respecting summer municipal bylaw enforcement officer be received. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councilor McCullen, Councilor Van Fleet, any discussion? Oh, Councilor Van Fleet, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I just have one quick question, Lindsay. So in total, then, we have 3 officers now?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that's a great question. So the officers, we do have 3. They all have different roles. So we have the summer parking enforcement, we have a regular bylaw enforcement officer, as well as our short-term rental licensing officer.
Can they overlap each other's jobs?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, correct. All of the officers that are appointed by bylaw can enforce any of the municipal bylaws, essentially.
One more. And do the times, like, do their shifts alternate? So is it 24/7 or not quite?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, not necessarily. They are working different shifts, so to ensure that there is proper coverage throughout the summer months, being the busy season for parking, short-term rental enforcement, and other calls that we're getting for a number of complaints that we see normally through this time of year.
Thanks, Lindsay.
You're welcome.
Councilor Anderson, go ahead.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Just for notice to the gallery and also people watching on video, the funding for this was built into our 2024 budget, so it's not an add-on. We're not picking up extra employee. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Seeing none? Okay, then I'll call the question. Oh, going? Councilor McCullen, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I missed the meeting, so I'm out of practice. I believe that the third gentleman or person is to be paid out of the fees. His wages come out of the short-term rental fees, so it doesn't cost the average taxpayer anything for that gentleman. If you're in the short-term rental business, your licensing fee is helping to pay for that man, so, or woman, so, yep, okay?
Good point. Nice to let everybody know that. Okay, any other discussion? So seeing none, I will call the question. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, we're going to move on to the memorandum respecting the partial closure and conveyance of Biederman Road allowance. Mr. Earl, could you please provide a brief overview of your memo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you to all of council. The Township of Wainfleet has received an application to close and purchase a portion of Biederman Road allowance. The Biederman Road allowance is legally described as the road allowance between lots 5 and 6, concession 2, lying north of Highway 3. The portion of the road allowance subject to the request is approximately 2.06 hectares, starting from Highway 3 and moving north, terminating at the limit of the Biederman Municipal Drain Crossing. In accordance with the township's land disposal policy, all abutting landowners were circulated and have chosen to submit a signed waiver of right to purchase a portion of the said road allowance. A public notice of council's intent to consider the partial road closure and conveyance was provided on the township's website, which was posted on May 30th. No public comments have been received. As per the township's land disposal policy, a number of utilities require legal easements over the road allowance to protect their existing infrastructure prior to the transfer of lands. These easements are currently in the process of being registered. As the partial road closure and conveyance of Biederman Road has complied with the process outlined in the township's land disposal policy, staff recommends that council support and authorize the closure and conveyance of the lands described as Part 1 on Reference Plan 59R-17773 to the abutting property owner, Paul Cameron Holdings, Inc., for a total consideration of $510,000 as per the agreement of purchase and sale offer. The draft bylaw for the closure and conveyance has been attached for council's consideration this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. So I have a motion that the memorandum respecting partial closure and conveyance of Biederman Road allowance be received. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councilor Anderson, Councilor McCullen, any discussion? Councilor McCullen, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Seeing as this sale came out of the roads department. I'd like to make a motion that the money from the sales goes directly into the roads budget so that it doesn't get spent everywhere else. That'll help us fix some of our roads or equipment that's necessarily needed. So if that's okay, I'd like to make that motion.
Yes, of course. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Van Fleet, any other discussion on that? Seeing none, then I'll just call the question. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, so I will just reread the initial motion just so we don't get lost. Again, so I have the motion that the memorandum respecting the partial closure and conveyance of Biederman Road allowance be received. Is there any other further discussion? And we've already had a mover and seconder. Seeing none, so then I will call the question. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, so now we are going to move into the review of correspondence. We're going to go to C 2024-275 respecting the request to proclaim Sunday, July 28th, World Hepatitis Day. Is there a member of council that wishes to make a motion? Councilor McCullen, go ahead. Absolutely. Can I get a seconder? Councilor Anderson, is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question of all in favor. Opposed, and that is carried. Okay, are there any other items of correspondence council wishes to address this evening? Seeing none? Oh, Councilor McCullen, go ahead. Still a little slow on the draw there.
Councilor Anderson brought up the impact. Should we be signing on to, I'm not sure, Joan, if there was a, do we sign on and endorse that so there's more municipalities asking for this than just, should we be sending a letter to impact as well, a motion to support, right? So. Okay, so yeah, I'd make a motion that we support that and get a letter out.
Councilor Anderson, would you like to second that?
I just think that if we do that, I'm fully in favor of pulling their resolution and supporting it. And it may be that the clerk takes a look at the phraseology that they used, and we could renovate that because some of their whereases and whereases are not relevant to Wainfleet. So we need to critique their resolution. Or we could just pull it and straightly support it. Whatever the clerk figures is best. Thank you.
I'll ask the clerk for her opinion.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, we can certainly soften the language or choose to support whatever your preference is, or I can work with you in the coming days to formulate that response and see which you like best.
So through you, Mayor, yeah, we'll get together on that, Amber, and it's just a couple of things to tighten up a little bit. Thank you. But it'll be of the same context that we want the government, the provincial government, to get on their horses and get the review done so that MPAC can be told to come forward with assessments, which is very relevant to our budget and tax rates. Thank you.
So again, Councilor Anderson, so you will second the motion from Councilor McCullen? All right, and Councilor McCullen?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, one of the other things, it's really not fair to new people that have just built a house or moved into a brand-new house, because they really don't know what their taxes are. And if they wait 3 years to get this done, somebody built on the lake may have a tax bill that would choke an elephant, and most people are going to get one that it's 3 years worth of tax bills all at once, right? So they really should be doing their job and getting it out in a timely manner.
I completely agree. I've spoken to a few residents that were shocked at just what their tax bills were after building new homes, and that's without MPAC doing, a full catch-up. So it's definitely going to hit everybody in the same way. All right, any other discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, so we will move into bylaws. So I have a motion that the following bylaws be read and passed this 11th day of June 2024. First one, bylaw number 25, 2024, being a bylaw to appoint a municipal bylaw enforcement officer for the corporation of the Township of Wainfleet. Number two, bylaw 26, 2024, being a bylaw to authorize the stopping up and closing a portion of the road allowance known municipally as Biederman Road and the conveyance of the said road allowance in concession 2 between lots 5 and 6 described as part 1 on reference plan 59R 17773 in the Township of Wainfleet, Regional Municipality of Niagara. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Van Fleet, Councillor McCullen, any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, moving into notices of motion. Are there any notices of motion this evening? Seeing none, okay, I will make a motion respecting, I would like to make a motion respecting the traffic calming, and so I will first make the motion that council suspend the rules of procedure to allow motion to come forward for which prior notice was not provided. Can I have a seconder? Councillor McCullen, thank you. Any discussion? All right. Well, I will just say that this is in regards to traffic calming in and around the Lakeshore area, Quarry Road. Basically, we're just going to suspend the procedures so that we can speed up the process as to getting studies done to find out what the best suitable calming method will be out in the Lakeshore area, whether we do decide to go with the three-way stop or if we decide to use calming devices. Under legislation, we're supposed to create this study before making that decision. So that is why we're going down this road. Yeah. Go ahead.
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
Richard, did we not do the whole lake shore at the time or no?
Through your worship to Councilor Van Fleet, we reviewed Lakeshore Road between Bessie and Quarry at the time that there was a request for stop signs at Bessie Road intersection of Lakeshore. We did a review at that time. It didn't indicate or warrant process for Quarry Road at Lakeshore. It only approved the warrant process for the Bessie Road intersection.
Any other discussion on the initial motion to suspend the, where did it go? Suspend the rules of procedure. Councilor McCullen? Yep, we're going to come right back into the motion. As long as this goes through, we're going to come back into the motion and we can address Richard there again if we would like to get a little more thorough about this. Yeah. Okay. All right, so no further discussion. I'll ask a question. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, so now I will now make the motion that the manager of operations be directed to prepare a report respecting traffic calming options and costing in areas where residents have expressed concern with speed for the July 9th, 2024 meeting of council. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Van Fleet, any discussion?
Okay.
Yeah, now you can go all in. Councillor Van Fleet, you have the floor.
So Richard, I have a question. So if we did a study of the whole lake shore, what kind of numbers are we talking about?
Through your worship, we can preliminary do an in-house study for small sections of roads. If we're going to do all of Lakeshore, we would require engineering to be consulted and an outside firm to perform that for us.
Okay, but if we did it by intersection, not the whole entire road, is that different? Can we get around it that way?
Through your worship, we can perform studies in small areas, and we could probably do that in-house. It take a little bit of time to do that, and it requires traffic studies, traffic counts in those areas specific. So we've already started the process because of complaints we received, and we've been doing that for the past few years. We've started that process just for the one block, and we will have some of that information by the July 9th meeting. I just want to stipulate to council, there seems to be a confusion between stop signs and traffic calming. I just want to clarify that traffic signs, including stop signs, are not to be used for traffic calming devices. They're totally separate issues. Traffic calming is one thing. Stop signs are regulatory signage, and they're required to be under the bylaw, and amendments would have to be under the bylaw to change any of those traffic signage. Whereas traffic calming are issues that we could produce and develop a warrant process for that.
Okay, I know it's not the only part of the township where speed is an issue. It's an issue everywhere. Just the population down there is more intense during the summer. So that's what I'm thinking of. But it seems to be the only road that I can think of offhand, except for Wilford, that doesn't have numerous stop signs. Maybe concession 6. We can mull that over later. Sorry. Forks Road's not ours. Okay. But we can discuss this later. Thanks, Richard.
Councillor Anderson, go ahead.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Richard, can you clarify for me from Station Road West, that's regional, so what's our legislative position there?
Through your worship to Councilor Anderson, we have no jurisdiction on that piece of road at all. That is strictly regional road, and it's their jurisdiction. They are responsible for all traffic on and entering that portion of the roadway. So for instance, stop signs that enter onto Lakeshore on their road, they actually control those stop signs. We don't even control those. So Augustine Road, Braun Road, those stop signs on the Lakeshore, that's a regional road. Those are their controlled stop signs, not even ours.
Go ahead, Councillor.
If I may continue through you, Mayor. So Richard, just a point of interest to me, I think I know the answer because I live on the Lakeshore, but all of the roads that come, the short roads that come sort of north to the Lakeshore, and all the roads that come from the beach or south up to Lakeshore, all of those have a stop at Lakeshore, correct?
Through your worship, I believe every one does have a stop sign at one of the locations. There is what's known as a through road and then a stopped road. So whether it enters a through section, then the stop roads or the short roads would have a stop sign, and they're all existing now. It's just a few that may have straight through, like golf course goes straight through, but Lakeshore stops at it. So there are different configurations for every road and every intersection.
If I may continue through you, Mayor, the only one I can think of driving down is that when you're coming down Lakeshore, coming east, and you get to Rathon, the Lakeshore traffic stops there.
That's correct. Because of the configuration of the curve on Golf Course Road, it was always best to keep that traffic moving through. So Lakeshore becomes a stop because it's a T intersection at that point. You want to allow the traffic to move freely through the straight section and not the T section.
Thank you, Richard.
Any other comments? Any members of council? Oh, I will just add, just for anybody that's watching or listening, Richard, you and I have spoke about this already. Despite whatever the report says, when this report does come back, should council decide that we still wish to put a three-way stop, ultimately we can do that as a council decision, despite what that report is. So just to let everybody know, but we do have to do our due diligence and have the report prepared before making that decision. That's all. Okay, so with that being said, there's no further discussion. I will call the question. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. So we have no items for closed session this evening. So we're going to move into the bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council. I have a motion that the bylaw number 27, 2024, being a bylaw to adopt, ratify, and confirm the actions of council at its meeting held on the 11th day of June, 2024, be read and passed this 11th day of June, 2024. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Van Fleet, Councillor Anderson, any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. So there being no further business, the meeting is now adjourned. Didn't even come close.